Wow. Looky. Now Ryan Garcia's very own promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, finally admits that Devin Haney is a dangerous out and opponent for Ryan Garcia. If you want to know more about this subject, my name is Ego, aka Boxing Ego. Stay tuned. Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys come in, throw a like on the video, goes a long way. Also, use my link in the description to get TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is an awesome browser extension. If you're a YouTuber and you're a content creator, try to get some viewership. I've had a channel for several years, at this double-digit years at this point, and I don't steer you guys in the wrong way, so consider TubeBuddy. I use it every day for videos like this. Now, let's get into the content. Ryan Garcia, he's about to fight Togos. You know, he did a press conference, and Oscar De La Hoya was questioned. Oscar De La Hoya was asked some specific things about just potential matches in the future for Ryan Garcia. Now, for starters, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this aspect. But what I've noticed in the sport of boxing is boxing is getting very, very lazy, especially with old media. And you'll have a fight that no one really asked for lack of a better word. Nobody really asked for, like Ryan Garcia versus Togos. A much better fight would be the fight I told you Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy would not make next, which is Isak Pitbull Cruz. Obviously, that didn't happen. Ego Shadama strikes again. So they're putting him in with, man, I could barely see him. I don't know if it's my glasses. They got the lighting down low. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're trying to save energy, electricity. Anyway, you knew he wasn't fighting Isak Pitbull Cruz. Coming off a long layoff, Golden Boy, they let you know that they're not trying to do that. You know, Isak Pitbull Cruz, Ryan called him a C-class fighter. But here's the lazy thing that I'm getting to in terms of boxing. The lazy thing is we're seeing as a sport, the sport get very lazy. I seen Oscar De La Hoya. He did a TMZ interview, and they kept talking about Ryan Garcia. The whole tagline or headline says Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis. Meanwhile, Gervonta Davis has been kind of off the radar. And that's what is getting to a bunch of clout chasing in the sport of boxing, where you have Ryan Garcia, who's fighting this random black dude from Ghana, looking like, dressed like Cisco. Ooh, that dress so scandalous, and I know I never can handle it all night long. What you know what I'm saying? He Cisco looking dude or whatever. And he got him. This is who he's fighting. And you're talking about Gervonta Davis. It's clout chasing at its finest. Now, a dangerous out in the lightweight division for anybody is Devin Haney. And I want to get into what Oscar De La Hoya said. So without further ado, roll the clip.
I love that fight. Look, Jojo Diaz, Devin Haney, I was there sitting ringside watching this fight. And, Haney's a very dangerous guy.
Haney is a very dangerous guy.
Haney's a very dangerous guy. Ringside watching this fight, and Haney's a very dangerous guy. He's very skilled. There's a lot of history with Ryan Garcia.
He's very skilled. So he's admitting that Devin Haney is a viable threat.
That fight there, yeah. I can see that fight being a major blockbuster fight.
I could see that fight being a major blockbuster fight, yeah. So he's singing Devin Haney's praises because Devin Haney is an awesome fighter, right? He's saying he's skilled. He's saying he's a very dangerous fight. I could see it with the history that him and Ryan have being a blockbuster. So Oscar just re-upped with DAZN, and my thing is, how come DAZN is not putting some money? Like, they got all this money for Canelo, $40-50 million for him to fight Bivol, with all that's going on, and they're saying they might not even have that as a title fight anymore, but whatever. But why not put some money behind a fight like Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney? To me, I don't get it. So I want you to pay special attention to Oscar De La Hoya, former fighter, gold medalist, and he's doing nothing but praise and speak highly of the Devin Haney fight. Pay close attention to this, because I have a point to make.
Haney's a very dangerous guy. He's very skilled. There's a lot of history with Ryan Garcia. That fight there, yeah, I can see that fight being a major blockbuster fight in time. Yeah, absolutely.
In time.
I like Kambosos for Ryan Garcia after this fight.
Well, there you have it. So, in the middle of telling you all the things that is Devin Haney, right? He says, I want Ryan to fight Kambosos.
Time, yeah, absolutely.
He said Devin Haney in time, I like the Kambosos fight. And completely like reroutes. It's like GPS. Like you have the Waze navigation and you miss your exit, and then it just reroutes you and tells you, okay, take the next exit. So in the midst of him talking about Devin Haney being a tough fight and history and story, he just says randomly, I want Ryan to fight George Kambosos.
That fight being a major blockbuster fight in time. Yeah, absolutely. I like Kambosos for Ryan Garcia after this fight, if everything goes well.
Why him most?
Because he has all the belts, and it'll take Ryan Garcia straight to the top. You know, because I have a plan. I have a plan of you know.
I have a plan.
I strongly feel that a Kambosos with Ryan Garcia next can be a major event in Vegas, but an even bigger event that is brewing can be against Haney or Tank. So I would love for Ryan to have all the titles first, and then unify. And so if the plan goes accordingly, you know, we can have back-to-back major events and make Ryan Garcia the guy in boxing.
So it's very evident, and I'm the realest in the game, so I'm going to just save you guys some steps. So what I believe, and this is no knock on George Kambosos, I like the guy, but George Kambosos is viewed as a beatable champion. So what's happening in boxing is when you got a guy like that, everybody wants to fight, no questions asked, because he's viewed as very beatable. He arguably lost fights with Lee Selby and Mickey Bay, things like that, and he was badly hurt by Teofimo despite pretty much dominating the earlier rounds. It got to that round where he got dropped, and you know, it looked like he was on his way out. So he's viewed as like a guts warrior and all that type of stuff, but not much on the defense, and you know, he's beatable. Ryan Garcia has snap, he got some thump, he got power, he got speed, things like that, and he's big for the lightweight category. So that's what's happening. That's why Oscar De La Hoya is saying that he likes to fight, because he values the African-American fighter Devin Haney. He's a former fighter, and he knows stylistically that could give Ryan Garcia a very, very ugly night based on the style, versus Kambosos. You know, I can't say that Kambosos has game-changing power. I understand he dropped Teofimo, but Teofimo was also, in my opinion, fighting like a maniac, and he came out way too aggressive, right? Way too aggressive, trying to spark Kambosos out. So the quickest way, Floyd Sr. will tell you this, the quickest way to get knocked out yourself is to try to force and push for the knockout. So yeah, that's what I think. I think Kambosos has respectable pop, but it's not like legendary power, Julian Jackson, Deontay Wilder type of power. So that's what this is. Oscar De La Hoya sees him with the title, and he sees him as ripe for the picking versus Devin Haney. Now, ironically enough, Devin Haney continues to call himself the boogeyman of boxing, or the boogeyman at least of the lightweight category. And you never see anyone from old media, like, people act like they have problems with it, but you never see the behavior is what I'm getting at. You never see the behavior or the actions of people in boxing do anything about it. Like, they're letting Devin do all this talking to say like, oh, I'm the boogeyman of the division, but you don't see Golden Boy pushing and cornering Devin Haney and say, nah, we making the Ryan Garcia fight next. In fact, it's the polar opposite. What you do see is, oh, Devin Haney, oh, he's a terrific fighter, he's a great fighter, and I think that could be a big fight in due time, but we like the George Kambosos fight right now. So you would rather have Ryan Garcia fight a guy with all the belts, even though we know he doesn't really have all the belts, because Devin Haney has a WBC belt. And you're stating that because you feel Kambosos is beatable. That's what this boils down to. Just like when De La Hoya previously said about Gervonta in regards to Ryan, no, Tank's a beast. So it's very apparent that Golden Boy doesn't want Ryan in certain fights, especially with guys with complex styles like Gervonta Davis, or in this case, Devin Haney. Now, the other thing that is really shocking to me is you have these media scrums and different, post-fight interviews and stuff like with Oscar De La Hoya, where you have media surrounding Oscar De La Hoya. And keep in mind, I'm just one person, but I'm one person with one brain, yet I remember other things that these same entities and people have said, and it doesn't really correlate with what they're saying now. So I want to play something else for you. You just heard he said, oh, Devin Haney, he's tough. He's a great fighter. I was there at the Jojo Diaz fight.
Sitting ringside watching this fight, and Haney's a very dangerous guy.
Dangerous.
He's very skilled.
Very skilled.
There's a lot of history with Ryan Garcia.
A lot of history.
That fight there, yeah, I can see that fight being a major blockbuster fight.
Major blockbuster. So I just want to refresh your memory. And Oscar knows firsthand how good Devin Haney is, because Devin Haney whooped 2 Golden Boy fighters in a row. Jorge Linares, who was with Golden Boy and recently got knocked out after the Devin Haney fight, and he fought Joseph Jojo Diaz. So Devin Haney's almost like the Golden Boy killer, the Golden Boy slayer, because if he fought Ryan Garcia next, I personally would favor Devin. You know what I mean? So that would be 3 Golden Boy fighters in a row, but we know Oscar wouldn't let that happen and allow that to happen. But I wanted you guys to hear the praise that he's given for Devin Haney versus what he said previously on an Instagram IG live where he was streaming. And it's something completely different. So my question is, me with one brain versus there's these situational things in boxing where you have a ton of cameras rolling and media people surrounding the person, and that's multiple ideas, multiple memories, multiple brains, and none of this stuff comes up like, hey, didn't you say X, Y, and Z? Because I always find mad contradictions to what people are saying in boxing versus what they said a short time before that. And to me, it's just ironic that this continues to happen. And we wonder why we're not further along as a sport of boxing. And to me, this is a strong candidate as to why, because boxing, it's like it continues to spit in your face with decisions like Josh Taylor, with hypocritical and contradicting statements and various things like that. These are the things people will tell you something, and then a week later they'll change it. And then media or whoever, they act oblivious to what was previously said, and nobody wants to ask those tough questions. So Oscar, in this current interview for Ryan Garcia's media day, right, he's saying Devin Haney is tough and all that, but this is what he previously said. Roll the clip.
Why won't Jojo fight Haney? Because Haney hasn't been promoted right. Haney hasn't been promoted right. Haney hasn't been promoted right. Haney hasn't been promoted right.
Haney hasn't been promoted right.
He has, who knows Haney here? I would rather do Ryan Garcia versus Jojo Diaz, so just be happy with that.
What else?
Wow. So there it is, folks. This is what I'm talking about. These are the kind of statements and contradictions. He says, Devin Haney, who knows Devin Haney? Nobody knows Devin Haney, and who's he beat? And I'd rather do Joseph Jojo Diaz. So why is Ryan Garcia fighting the Togo sandwich guy? Why isn't he at least fighting Joseph Jojo Diaz, who Devin Haney beat? Because Golden Boy views all these fights as too tough for Ryan Garcia, and they're trying to preserve their golden goose. And that's what it boils down to. Golden Boy switched the name to Golden Goose. And, you know, as far as Devin Haney, the contradictions, I just let you hear. Current interview, Devin Haney's a beast, and I was ringside, and I know how good he is, and he's admitting it's a dangerous fight. But previously, it was something else. You said, oh, Devin Haney, who knows him? Nobody. And this is what they do, especially with black fighters in the sport of boxing. This continues to happen. It's like a black murderers row, NBF, no black fighter, where you'll hear all these different excuses as to why certain fights can't or shouldn't happen. And then a short time later, like in this particular instance, De La Hoya is telling you that Devin Haney is tough and he's good and it's a dangerous fight. But before, it was something else. And this is what happens and continues and perpetually happens with Devin Haney particularly. Devin Haney, guys like Teofimo, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, they say, oh, who's Devin Haney? He got to get his brand up. He got to fight someone in the top 10. Ryan Garcia did an interview, says, I almost fell asleep when Devin Haney fought. I need to see Devin Haney put on a performance that captivates me. And then he looks good in fights. He fights top 10 people. And then Golden Boy chooses this Togo's dude instead. And Oscar's telling you right now that Devin Haney is a dangerous fight and it's a blockbuster fight, but he refuses to make it. So you already know what it is. Boxing Ego, we unpack. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.